Oh, hey. It's time for another episode of Sack Time. We're leaving this. Okay. So this evening, I've been screwing around with this all day long, and I finally got a really good example in sort of lowdown on how to get GameCube games on your Wii U. So, it's kind of a lengthy process, but we'll make it nice and easy for everybody as best we can. So there's a couple things we're going to presuppose, which is that you have the Homebrew channel on your system, and there's a whole process to this. I'm not going to tell you guys how to do that. I'm not going to be responsible for you bricking your Wii's or whatever it is, but what we're going to be doing right now, assuming you have the Homebrew channel installed, it's up to date, you got all the latest stuff, you just need a 2 gig SD card, and you can do this with a whole bunch of other stuff, USB drives or larger SD cards, of course. But we're going to go ahead and take you through the process on exactly what it's going to entail to get GameCube games running on your Wii U. Now, you are going to need a normal GameCube, a Wii as well, because we're going to basically be utilizing this as, we'll call it the catalyst, that allows these games to play. And it's kind of complicated, but I'll explain, hopefully pretty simply. So, grab your SD card, throw it in your computer. I'm going to throw it in as hard as I can. That's where this is going. Now, I don't know if you can see this very well. Here's our computer. The link that was provided on Go Nintendo, I will actually provide that down below in the links. We have something called the GC Devo, which from the website for De-Evolution is provided. It's just called GC Devo Zip. Okay? And what we're going to end up doing is popping open the Devo file, and inside you see a folder called Apps. Go ahead and actually, my computer's being all cool, go ahead and just copy that straight into your the root folder. So the only application that's currently in there is GC Devo. Now I found something else earlier today called CleanRip. I'll also provide a link for that below. And this is what we're going to be using to grab the files from the GameCube games. Go ahead and just pop that open to CleanRip, stick it in the same app folder. Let's see, I think we actually might be under apps. Okay, so I've already messed everything up. We're going to go ahead and actually pop this set of apps out onto the desktop and stick them in the correct folder, so it's not apps, because that doesn't work. So your card will be the root folder, and then apps, and then CleanRip and GC Devo. These are the only two things you're going to need for this entire process. Now, take your card out, right here. Go ahead and grab, securely, your regular Wii, and stick the card inside. Okay? So what that does, and you can go ahead and focus on the TV for now, that pops us into our main screen. I recognize there's an SD card, and we're going to pop over to the Homebrew channel. Down here to start. And keep in mind, this is really weird. The way this has to work is your system has to pair a remote, and the remote is going to be basically your ambassador between both of the systems. Now, what I mean by that, we're going to go over here to CleanRip, and you go ahead and just start this up as normal. Go to Load. And we're going to take kind of a small disc today. And this is going to be the Zelda Ocarina of Time Master Quest. So, there. Everything's a whole mess because we've been doing junk all day long. Stick the disc like normal into your Wii. And what we're going to go ahead and do is, disclaimer, author is not responsible for any damage that could occur. I haven't come across anything detrimental today. That's fine. Press A to continue, and we're going to be using the front SD card slot. You can use a USB. Let's go ahead and use this. Insert an SD FAT32 formatted device. We've done that already. Make sure yours is formatted appropriately. Press A. This says redump.dat files not found. Download them now. I'm not sure what that means. So the thing about this is I'm not super tech savvy when it comes to a lot of this stuff. I just go ahead and say yes, and it seems to be fine. So it's going to initialize the network. Okay. Network initialized, found my IP, downloading some crap, saving whatever, downloading whatever. This is amazing. Technology is incredible. That's all I'm going to tell you right now. Invalid zip file found. That comes up every single time. I don't even know what that means. Insert a disk. Okay, now we're ready to start ripping the actual files from the disk. We'll just say hit A to continue. initializing disk, and what it'll do is it just starts ripping it. I believe that's all there is to it for now. So let's go ahead and let this do its thing. Copy canceled. I might have hit an extra time on accident. Insert. Okay, initializing disk. Let it go. Okay, make sure no cats are looking for ants or touching buttons on the controller. So this might take a little bit for this to download the file to your drive. There's a couple other things we have to do after that, which is moving the files. We can rename them appropriately, and I'll show you. This is going to be completely uncut because I'm recording on an iPhone. That's the only real device that I've got for recording video, and it doesn't play friendly with Premiere, so we're not going to edit the file. In the meantime, let's go ahead and talk about the pre-fun. And this is a printer that was released by Sega, and you could actually hook it up to an AV input. This is totally unrelated. Hook it up to an AV input and stick a sort of photo paper in there, and it had its own little ink cartridges, and you could print screenshots from video games or paused movies. This is back in like 1998, which is kind of cool. And this is one that I picked up from Replay Games, which was my very first job working at a video game retail location, locally owned store. Actually, my first job ever, unless you count me kissing the ladies. It's gonna be so bad. Yeah, we've still got a good couple minutes, so we'll do like a quick history tour of everything that's going on, because I'm not gonna cut this. It's not gonna be cut. See, look at that, 632 keeps shifting around. All right, we can talk about the Sega Pico. Sega Pico was a system released by Sega that was basically a children's learning device. It had storybooks of sorts that you could... Let me see if I can assort some of this real quick. Remove the Nomad. I've got to redo these shelves anyway. A bunch of stuff's coming in. Give people a history lesson on the Sega Pico. Am I doing this correctly? You're going to watch me just folly and fumble my way through this whole thing. I want to open without me damaging my precious Pico. Pico de Gallo. That's Spanish for delicious. There we go. Hold that thing in. Right. See, I don't ever use this because I collect it. And this came with a Richard Scarry book. And it was like an interactive pen tablet kind of thing. Hook it up to your TV, play some games, cook some goods with some pigs. I feel bad because anybody who's watching this, you can probably fast forward this video by about 4 minutes at this point, 5 minutes we'll say, and forego all of this. In fact, I'll try to make some cool, exciting, huge hand motion on the thumbnails below when you're scrubbing over the video feed to let you know that you should probably stop so you can look at the rest of this video. We talk about the Gamecom, the Watara Supervision, the Game Boy Advance SP paper. This is a promotional item when I was working at UB. It used to make noises. It would pop open. It would make the Game Boy turn on. There's cat hair all over it. Cool. Got a bunch of green consoles over here. Green PSP, green DS Lite, Ninja Turtle Van, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, sealed Majora's Mask. So there's a bunch of stuff up here. Maybe if I have enough people interested, we'll go through the whole thing. We have enough time right now, man. Colored 64s. I don't know. Do you have any suggestions? You're behind the camera. Nope, nothing. Alright, let's keep doing this. How about the Mario Artist series for the 64 disc drive? Came out in Japan. It has a mouse, and it's basically a very deluxe Mario paint. This one in particular. There's a couple of like a polygon editing studio. There's a sound editing studio. This one came with a mouse. This one has an audio capture cartridge and video capture, so you could make sweet videos on your 64 in Japan. And I don't think anybody actually did. We've got Brain Dead 13 on the 3DO. We've got a copy of Jam with the Band, Daigasso Band Brothers, the Japanese release from the UK. Fantastic little game if you get a chance. Import a copy. In fact, maybe we'll start selling them online in our eShop. Gamers Anonymous eShop. Copy of 8 Eyes for the NES. Copy of DuckTales 2 for the NES. Copy of Bowser Bobblehead for the shelf. Copy of a guitar for the stand. A Miyamoto signed Game Boy. That was pretty exciting. I don't sound very thrilled, but back at E3 2005, I got a chance to meet the guy, and he signed my Famicom Edition SP, and that was maybe the best moment of my life. There to talk about the Neo Geo X, the 3DO, the CDI, copy device. Let's see how long this is. 2 minutes left. Okay, cool. So making good time. Reggie signed this with a Miyamoto sticker over the top. Game Gear. This is a device for the Super Famicom, and you can copy games to floppy disk. This one's not going to eject. I guess I have to play this game forever, whatever it is. This is more of a collectible anyway. I don't think I even have any floppy disks. But you would stick a cartridge in here, and you could copy several files onto like the 3.5 millimeter or inch floppies, and play them later. And back in like the mid '90s, this is probably really cool. And as a collectible, it's kind of neat, but obviously it's tremendously impractical, and nobody actually wants to use one. There it is. MGH means innovation. That's their slogan. It's right on top of the product, which I suppose is good. Let's put the Nomad back. The Wanderer. Wanderer and the Colossus. Famicom 3D system glasses floating right underneath the Virtual Boy. Keeping people entertained. This is rough. This is, yeah, you're enjoying it. Chase McCain, standing next to a Sharpie. I feel bad. This video is going to be an extra just 7 minutes long for no good reason at all, other than that we have to wait. And I guess we don't have to, but I want to show everybody exactly what's going on and make sure that the major steps just aren't missed, because it's a process, man. It took a lot of trial and error today to figure things out and get things ready. And what's cool about it, though, is that we'll get a chance to show you some of the controller nuances and why the Classic Controller Pro for the Wii U is terrific. One thing is it's extremely sensitive, and we can actually go into a quick rant right now, because I was playing F-Zero GX earlier today, and you can use the go ahead and show. You can use the Pro Controller, which is terrific, fantastic device. What they did, though, whoever invented this, did not allow for a customizable button set, which in most cases is fine. For an adventure game, Mario, Zelda, whatever, you're not going to have any problems. For F-Zero, it remaps B to A, Y to B, X to Y, and A to X. So it's for an adventure game where you can just press whatever, it's not really a big deal. But for F-Zero, you have to press B to boost, or B is your normal gas button, and X is your boost now. So it makes it a little bit tricky on the fingers when you're playing. LNR seemed to work just fine. The control stick, however, is unbelievably sensitive, and for certain games, aiming or driving, you are going to go nuts trying to steer, because on some Wii U games there's a slight dead zone for the controller up here, but for anything you're playing on the Gamecube, I've noticed there is not, and you will just I will oversteer all over the place. So I don't know if it's just me, or if I need to unlock the rest of the racers that I normally use, BioRex and stuff like that, but this thing is tremendously sensitive. Whatever the case, alright, looks like we're ready here in just a couple seconds to figure out exactly what's going on. Okay. So there also is a step-by-step copy completed 9 minutes. Press A. Verify this is Legend of Zelda Ocarina. Okay, so the README that comes with this whole thing is going to be pretty useful. Let's go ahead and eject the disk just halfway for now, because we're going to be using it in a second. Now, pull your SD card out, and let's go ahead and get another computer shot over here. Okay. Let's pop open, and I actually made a very cute little folder called GCN and Gamecube games. GCN Wii games, because we're going to be doing some other stuff. And we're going to open up the Master Quest folder that I made, Ocarina Master Quest folder, just so that we've got a place to put this. Now, what it does when it rips all the files is it gives you pretty much everything you're going to need, all in 4 different things. The GC DAT, the dump info, the actual ISO itself, that's the only real important file we're going to need, and this other BCA file. So go ahead and grab all of those and pop them into a folder if you want to make a backup for yourself. Sorry, this is going to take a second again, but that's life. There's no way around it. We're being cautious here, okay? From that guy. 17% complete. Okay. When you copy to a USB drive, it goes a little bit faster. But this is just to take precautions. So what we'll end up doing is, while we're waiting for this, let's go ahead and focus back on the TV. Turn your Wii remote back on, and you're probably going to want to have a classic controller because a lot of this functionality you can't do with a Wii remote alone because it's going to need the classic controller. So let's exit out of this. Someday it will exit. Press B on the actual remote. Yeah, okay. So now we're back here to our Homebrew screen where we're waiting for the SD card that's in the computer. So, hold on a second. It's at 54%. I can sing the song. No, I'm not going to do that. There's nothing good for me to sing. I can show you the world. Nope, that's it. That's all I get. You can't expect any more than that. I am the wind, I am the sun, and one day we'll all be one. I'm gonna make everybody on the internet mad at me. Mad men, mad TV, madness. Okay, so this is almost finished now. Now we're not done on the computer just yet, because what we've got to do, pop over here now, once again, on your SD card, the only way that the GameCube games can read is from a folder called Games. So just make sure you have a Games folder on here. And, okay, everything's all finished copying. I'm going to go ahead and delete everything except for the ISO. Let's go ahead and rename this to Zelda Ocarina of Time -MQ. Okay. Let's go ahead and throw this in the Games folder, and that doesn't have to shift anything. Alright, time to remove the SD card slot, or the entire slot from the computer. Time to remove the SD card from the slot. Go ahead and stick this back in your original Wii, and boom, everything pops back up onto the Homebrew channel. Now we're going to go over here to Devolution, and we're going to press A, and load it all up. Now, this is actually the spot where it begins to move the buttons around. And it's right now reading off of a file where you can connect a PlayStation 3 controller, the Wii U Classic controller, or you can use just the remote and the normal Classic controller for right now, which I'm going to recommend. So in order to mount from the SD card, let's go ahead and, if you, like, Y over here is going to back you out, and B over here is going to accept. I believe A is going to do the USB drive, so let's go ahead and hit X, and it brings it up, and it says here, select game. Okay, cool. So we've got Zelda OOT MasterQuest.iso. Now, what you're going to want to do is hit the B button. Normally, if you have other games, you can cycle through them, and they just can be the ISOs all in the one folder. But right now, we just have Zelda. Let's go ahead and hit B. It's going to load that resizing the memory card file, and it will load up here in a second. Watch something bad happen. Okay. Now, the way this is going to work is I've mentioned that this is going to be the ambassador between the two systems. What it does is it utilizes the volatile memory inside the Wii remote to basically allow a Wii U to recognize that this game is able to be played. It's hard to say why there has to be some sort of authentication. I don't know the long and short of it, but that's just the way it is. So, look over down here at the Wii, and what it's trying to do is it's trying to load up the game. And what it has to do first is authenticate the disc. This is almost like some sort of weird DRM. The disc right here is sticking halfway out of the system while the drive flashes. It's trying to read the ISO, but it's going to need this. So, we'll go ahead and grab the disc, stick it back in the system, and this is where it begins to authenticate. Okay? Now, Wii Remote Lite is going to stay on, and then it's going to turn off, or it should turn off. And it's going to start flashing. Now what you're going to do here is if you press start, it's going to cycle, well, it's going to turn back on again. Okay, we'll wait for that. Okay, so now that it's authenticated by the remote being on, you can see up here on the TV, everything's good to go. Now here on the Wii Remote, your light's going to start flashing, and if you press the start button, it'll cycle between players 1, 2, 3, and 4, meaning you can actually, this is idle mode that it's in right now, which is kind of cool, because we can use this idle mode to pop over to another controller if we had another controller Wii Remote, or if you want to turn this thing on, oh, this is actually synced to the regular Wii, so we'd have to resync this to the current Wii, but it can do that. I'll show you here in a second. For the time being, we're just going to go ahead and stick with this. Now once you press the home button, it's going to accept that as the slot that you are currently using. So, now we can go ahead and rumble feature, sure, but it's making only this rumble because this has never rumble built into it. It's reading the virtual game disk while authenticating with the normal disk inside. Okay, memory card slot is corrupted, must be formatted. I'm just going to say no, we're not going to save. Yes, okay. Cool, that's totally fine. Alright, so now we've got Ocarina of Time all loaded up, running through the Wii off of the disc. Okay? When you hold the power button, it's not going to turn off the system, it's going to boot you back to the Wii menu entirely. It's kind of a long video, isn't it? Cool. Okay, so to double check and make sure that everything's authenticated, go ahead and eject the disc. Let's go ahead and put this back in the case. I don't even know where the case is. Oh, I threw it over here because I was angry. Alright. Put it back in the case. Throw it on your mom's fireplace or your fireplace, whichever. And just to test everything out, let's snap the A button and pop over to Devolution again. Go ahead and load as you would. And go ahead and mount your whatever you're going to be doing. We're doing the SD card, the X button, select the game, Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Master Quest, ISO, hit B to start. So, it's going to check a couple more times, and once this thing is verified as being on, it will say, oh, we recognize this Wii Remote, let's go ahead and start the game. Press the home button so the light stays on. We should be good to go. So, there's Nintendo. Okay, progressive scan. Now that this is here, I think it actually takes a little bit longer to load Master Quest from the SD card. But, see, we're good to go. Everything's all set. There's no disc in there. And we are now loading up either of the games based off of our SD card. So, now if you want to go ahead and do this in Wii mode, a little bit tricky, but it's the same sort of basic principle. So then we'll turn this off, take the SD card out, okay? Now go ahead and pop this into your Wii U. See that? That's the Wii U. Okay. Now, and we're going to do this with the Pro controller, because that's way cooler. So take the TV remote. I'm going to pop over. Hear the cats running. You're probably going to hear the cats attacking each other. Okay, now for whatever weird reason, the Wii U just today, it loads up, these are still the same tiles that you just saw. Mine in particular just don't have any text. There's no text for some reason. Okay, so now we're going to have to resync the controller, because this is the one, this is our ambassador. This has to communicate back and forth between both systems. So let's go ahead and get it ready to read. Let's go ahead and press the button on here, and hopefully, in just a second, it'll synchronize. It'd be funny if it doesn't. Make this process take extra long. You know, we actually might have to resynchronize on the main menu and not in the Homebrew menu. So let's resync out here, and we should be good to go. Wii's are picky, so this is a little more troubleshooting that I've had to endure lots of today, but I think we figured out most situations. Okay, go ahead and start the syncing process. Sync up the controllers, and once these two have communicated, they're good to go. Okay, bada bing, this is reading as controller 2. That shouldn't be a problem. Hop over again to our Homebrew channel. And my blank options are going to pop up. They still function the same for me. So they pop over here, oh, devolution, yeah, we're good to go. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but I'll figure it out at some point. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and say load. And now, what I want to go ahead and do, we're going to hit this, which tries to load up. It's loading us up as player 2. So it's synchronizing to this. That's good to go. And this actually is now under player 3, which means it still is trying to, it's reading, it's communicating with the device, so we should be good to go. However, this one over here, this is unnecessarily complicated. This is not even supposed to be on, but now we're going to go ahead and mount from this side. Ocarina of Time Master Quest by pressing the X button. Let's go ahead and hit B to start it, okay? So what it does, at this point, it desyncs all the controllers once again. So, just for the sake of getting a nice order set up here, we can turn this on, press the start button to cycle between all 4, okay? And boom, because this thing is now attached, it recognizes here over on the Wii U that we're ready to start. We hit the home button right here, it puts this as player controller 1. Screen is set to progressive scan, bada bing. It's loaded up the Ocarina of Time with the Pro Controller on the Wii U. So, you are still going to have the Wii set up, because anytime you want to add a new game, you're going to have to synchronize it with your main controller and to sort of keep that, again, as an ambassador between the two. Use a rumble feature, and boom, reads the game disc. We turn on Ocarina of Time, and visually it's not going to be much of a difference from the Virtual Console version. It's literally just, you know, the same game. Corrupted, not formatting, okay, not saving. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And I believe it's just because we're using the SD card, which has been in and out all day long, LOL. And so, boom, yeah, we're good to go. And this will work with pretty much any game, anything that we've found so far. Unfortunately, I can't do an example with this because of the way this game is emulated, but if you have something loaded up like Time Splitters we threw on there, or the Wind Waker, there are a handful of commands that are included in the FAQ, the little README file, where if you press home to put the controller into standby mode, you can hold select and press left, and it'll shift the game into an actual widescreen. It'll recalculate polygons, and it's very impressive. It looks kind of cool. You can actually go into extra widescreen F0 because it already has a widescreen option, but this will super widescreen, and makes it look all weird. You can also hold select and press down to do things like reset the system. Hold select and press up to have it switch to different ISOs if you're doing like a multi-disc game such as Metal Gear or Resident Evil 4. Select and right, I actually can't remember. There's a handful of other commands. Select and B if you want to like turn on an automatic screen dimmer for whatever weird reason. Things of the sort. So basically, that's kind of it. That's the long and short of it. There's a lot more in terms of nuances that you can do, such as, you know, throwing on your own USB hard drive. Same kind of principle, but I'm not going to go into that. I just wanted to show you how this works, why it works, and just a couple pointers to look out for in terms of getting this to work relatively easily. So if you follow those instructions, you should be pretty good to go. Again, I'll have the links down below, and you can go ahead and let me know if you have any questions in the comments. If I can help in any way, I certainly will. I'm still learning a lot about this, so if you guys know of things to do to make this easier or better for other people, by all means, let me know. Until then, I'm going to keep tweaking this and working on this and loading stuff up, and hopefully they'll release a better GUI for the entire thing, because it's kind of unattractive being just a bunch of crappy DOS fonts. But functionality is functionality, so that's the bottom line. Other than that, I think we're pretty good to go for the evening. Try it out with a couple games. I've already put about 6 or 7 on there, and everything seems to work well so far. So if you guys run across any compatibility issues or anything else, let me know, and we'll see you next time on Sack Time.